Hey guys, how's it going? It is Eve, and today we are going to be talking about how to launch a Citadel. Launching a Citadel is literally identical to launching a POS, with a few minor differences, but it's the same thing. You need the right corporation roles, and you need to be in a spot that actually doesn't require a moon. So you can see here, we are actually in the middle of nowhere here in the system of Corazor Prime. You also require to set up a profile when it comes to launching your Citadel, but we'll go into more detail about that. To make your profile, you head up to your Neocom and hit the E or the slash key on your keyboard. Once here, you have to head down over to Business and then to Structure Browser. And you'll actually open up to the All Structures window. It should actually look something similar to this, minus these citadels that are actually down here. But what you want to do is you actually want to head over to My Structures and New Profile. And for this, we are just going to name this Testing 2 and enter a description test. So we are going to hit Create. So now we can select it here. And you'll actually be able to see your structures that you have following this profile. You can have lots of structures following this profile. You can have different structures following different profiles. You can have lots. So like for example, here's testing before the video. It's actually my other citadels that are in my previous video that I set up. So you can see that you don't have to resort to just one type of profile. So once you've named your profile what you want and made your description, you want to click on that profile and head over to Profile Settings. Here you can actually set everything from who can dock in your Citadel to the tax rate on clones and to the market and defenses and all that stuff. So for our first tab here is docking. So this tab basically is who can dock and who can't dock. And to set people and to set permissions to who can dock and who can't dock, hit the plus here. And there's two ways to actually do it. You can hit Add Access List, which is a list that you've already had previously, or you can hit Manage Access Lists. You head over to this, and this is basically of who can dock, who can't dock, and docking rights to structure, and stuff like that. So we're going to hit New Access List, and we are going to name this, simply No Docking. I'll just rename it to what I had before. No docking, and that just contradict everyone can dock. So we are going to hit create the access list. So here is your access list here. Everyone can dock even though it says no docking. So once you have to click on it, and now you have access list like who can dock and who can't dock. So if you were to set this to public, meaning everybody could dock right now. Every single person can dock. However, we're going to remove that. Let's say you want to single out a certain corporation or an entire alliance from docking. We're going to head down to Add Members. And we're going to hit, for example, we're just going to go for Goonswarm. Because you might have to narrow down the search a little bit, but when you hit search, you'll get your Goonswarm. And we're gonna just click on it and go Add Members. And now we have Goonswarm. At the moment, they can dock. However, you need to click on their name and drag it so you can see their Fat B logo. And you have a few things you can do here. You can set them to Administrator, meaning that anybody from Goonswarm would be able to change stuff in my Citadel and stuff like that, meaning they'd have power. You can set them up to Manager, meaning they can manage certain items. You can hit them down to Member, which basically just means they're a member and stuff like that. Or you can set them up to Block. So we're going to set them up to Block, meaning they can't dock right now in the Citadel. They can warp up to it, but they won't be able to dock. It gave you the message saying, we don't like you, you can't dock. And stuff like that. And let's just, for the sake of it, we're going to add my own corporation here. Search it. There it is. Add members. SMTOWN. And we're going to set everybody in my corporation to be an administrator. the following, oh whoops, they're not characters. Whoops, my bad. You need to actually, we're just going to set them up to members. So basically, this means anybody in my corporation can now dock in my Citadel. We can't make them administrators. I forgot that they have to be actual players. We're also going to set the public to be able to dock in my Citadel here. And once you're done that, you can simply just exit out. And now you need to actually add your access list. So you just hit the plus, add access list, no docking. And now it's Goon Swarm's unable to dock, however the rest of the public is able to dock along with my corporation. Now for tax offices, so we're going to do the exact same fee. And this basically says who can have an office in the Citadel. Like before, you hit the plus and you go to manage access lists. And you also have your whole entire list you made from before. And like before, it does say that you can have, for example, Goon Swarm, SMTOWN, and the public. Meaning the public can have offices in here. Same with my corporation. Goon Swarms can't. So, like before, we're just going to hit the plus here. And then we're going to go no docking. Now, here's a ISK. This is the monthly rent for your office. So if I were to set this, for example, to 100 ISK, it would cost me 100 ISK per month to keep the office. So you can set this to really whatever you would like. So just for the video, we're going to go to 1. Clone bays are also exactly the same. We hit the plus here, go manage access lists, and now let's say that we want like the dock, we want all this to be the same. However, just for the tutorial here, we want goons to be able to put a clone inside the Citadel. Just for the tutorial. I know this isn't practical, but it's just for the tutorial. So we actually do the exact same thing like we did for our no public rule. We just add Goon Swarm Federation down here, and we would add them. And it would basically mean that they are now able to put clones inside our Citadel. And like before, we'd close out of that, we'd add, and then Goon list. There you go. And now goons are able to put up clone. But because there's a fee, we can charge Goon Swarm whatever we would like. And for example, we'll just put in, I believe that's 1 million ISK for a clone. So our next tab is actually our markets tab. And now because we have the ability for the public to be able to dock inside our Citadel, what we're going to do is we're going to head over to our market tab and we're going to create a new access list saying, we're just going to name this public market. So this means that because the public can dock, we're going to do this. We're going to take the market here and we're just going to simply add, whoops, we're going to just go market here. This basically just means you would actually have to rename your access list to whatever you want, so it's more simple. But for the tutorial, I'm just going ahead like this. So now, once we added our public to the access log, we can close out of this and hit the plus, manage access lists, and just go to public market. This means that the public that dock inside our Citadel, because we allowed them to dock in our Citadel, will now be able to actually use our market. So we can set the tax rate here. We can set it from 0, we can set it to 100%, you can set it to really whatever you'd like. We're going to set it to 75. Oh, sorry, I believe 50 is the highest you're actually able to set it. So, yeah, market, the highest tax rate you can set is 50. Looks like I skipped over that when I was making the rest of this video. Regardless of that, next is your reprocessing. Just like before, this is basically who can reprocess, who can compress, and the tax rate. And just for simplicity's sake, we're just going to make it so that the public can reprocess with a reprocession tax of 12. And there you go. Once you're done, you can hit save. Remember what it's saved under? Ours is test 2. And you can close out of that, and you are now ready to actually anchor your Citadel. So once you have your profile set up and you have your citadel in your ship, all that's left is really to head out to your location that you want to put up your citadel. A citadel does not have to be anchored by a moon. It could actually be anchored in the middle of nowhere. For example, like I am here. I'm actually in a custom-made safe spot, so we could be anchoring our keep star here. So once you're out at your location, you want to right-click your citadel and go launch for corporation. Once you hit that, you'll see a large outline of your citadel in the background. We're just going to move those down there. So simple controls to actually positioning your citadel. It is left click to move your citadel, and it's right click to rotate it. So one thing that you should keep in mind when it comes to your citadel is where your undock is. For the keep star, it is kind of rather obvious, but for example on the Fortizar, it's not the easiest thing to pinpoint if you don't know where it is. It is a bit kind of hidden in there. So for example, let's say we don't know where it is. So we're going to go show info, and we're just going to simply look at the picture of the keep star here in the preview. So the undock is actually this curved shape here. So that means we are going to position the keep star in line, the undock to be in line with a station here. So we can exit out of that. And in order to kind of position it easier, I actually turned on the tracking camera for this. So if I track, I can track to something. So we are actually going to be positioning it in line with actually my home station over here. So we're going to do this. Now we are basically in line for the most part. So we can position it to roughly to where we want it to be so that it is roughly really close to being almost aligned perfectly. So let's say it's aligned absolutely perfectly, which I believe it almost is. There we go. Now it's still red. So that's not honestly a big problem unless you're close to a celestial or to something that's in space. You need to be at least 2,000 kilometers away from a celestial or a station, or Stargate rather. So for the keep star, and probably for all the other ones, you need to be at least 150 kilometers away from your ship in order to anchor it. If I move it out to 75, as you can see, it's still not there. So now if I were to move it out 150, here's 100 kilometers, it's still nothing. If I were to move it to about 150, about 140-ish, 125, give or take, but more or less on the 150 line, it turns blue. This means I can anchor it now. Anywhere along it, greater than 150 kilometers, the Citadel is anchorable. So once again, we're just going to position ourselves with our tracking camera and position our Citadel so that it is almost in line. So here is the Citadel. It is nice and blue. Now all you have to really come down is go to position. You want to click position, and you'll be greeted with this next window. So what this next window is basically the profile. You're basically telling the Citadel what to use and what not to use. So for our profile, like before, we made the testing 2 profile, which basically told goons they can not dock, however they could set up clones and the public could use the market and stuff like that. If you haven't set up profile, you can set one up right now. However, it is kind of preferred, in my opinion, to set it up while in a station, as this can be really time consuming. So once you have your profile, you basically come down and select it. So we're going to go select testing 2, and our structure name will be place me. You can really name it to whatever you'd like. So down here is your vulnerability windows. This means whatever you place it. For example, if I were to set right here at 2 o'clock, I want my Citadel to be vulnerable. At 2 o'clock, it will become vulnerable, meaning other players can attack my Citadel. So you just have to keep in mind, every Citadel has a different amount of time. It could be uh, vulnerable for. The Keep Star is actually vulnerable for 21 hours. However, you can spread out these 21 hours between the week. So if, for example, we want it at 2 o'clock and then that's on Monday. On Tuesday, let's say we want it at 6 o'clock, that's already 2. And we're just going to go down the list like this for right now. So here it is. Actually, let's just make it, there we go. So from 4 o'clock all the way down to about, what is this, 1600, the Citadel is vulnerable. And we still have a little bit to go, so we can just go ahead and fill up, for example, our second slots here. So now making the vulnerability window actually 2 hours per day. Whoops, that's 3. Whoops. So we still have basically 7 more days that we need to set it up. So about 3 hours per day, our Citadel will be vulnerable. So every day from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock Eve time, people will be able to attack by Citadel, and so on along the list. So now that you have your vulnerability set up to your liking, to your playtime, to when your alliance is most active, so that you can actively defend your Citadel, you can go down and hit Anchor. So you hit Anchor, and now your Citadel is actually anchoring. Your Citadel will be actually invulnerable for the 24-hour period, and I believe 24 hours afterwards. So once 24 hours is up, your Citadel should be up. So after your 24 hours of your Citadel onlining, you will have your Citadel that you have decided to build. Because we launched the Keep Star, here is the Keep Star Citadel online and dockable. And in our next video, we will be covering actually the whole entire complex system of Citadel defenses, along with fitting a Citadel and the different modules that can go in it. So that is it for this video, you guys. Fly dangerous, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.